Hello, this is Aoife Dean and this is the Happy Weight Podcast. Thanks so much for being here. If you haven't already and you've listened to episodes before, I'd really appreciate if you could follow or give the podcast a few stars. That would be amazing. So today I'm going to talk about our reactions and our kind of preparation for what's to come, right? Because we think we're reacting and this can catch us out. Like, I remember when I was figuring this out myself, it's like, you're actually never reacting, you're creating what comes next. So what I mean by that is that if you wake up and you're your belly full, you've memories of last night, kind of like, oh my God, I done it again. I ate more than I wanted to. I ate foods I didn't want to eat. You know, all the guilt, the shame, I promised myself I'd be further along by now. And then maybe just kind of charting in your head where you are in your journey. You just kind of like, God, I really thought I'd be further ahead by now and all the rest of it. So we can kind of come into our day with that kind of vibe, right? And we think we're just reacting to facts. You know, they're the facts, like, I didn't eat well, like as in whatever I ate last night, there's no way a diet would advise to eat that or eat that amount. And sure, calling a spade, I'm absolutely not at the weight I want to be. And I haven't been for years. So I'm just reacting to fact. But Esther Hicks calls it arguing for your limitations, because when we go down the road of like, but I'm not where I want to be and I shouldn't have eaten that, it's like, what exactly are you arguing for here? And the thing is, that can come up every day, no matter what we do, no matter what weight we are, because we're used to doing that. So it's not actually based on reality. It's just based on the habit of our brain. Like, we've done something every day for 20 years or whatever. Our brain isn't really going to scout for reality. It's just going to be like, hey, Aoife, it's 10 a.m. on a Monday morning. That's usually the time where you absolutely hate yourself and you think back on everything that you shouldn't have eaten over the weekend. And then you tell yourself that you're worthless and you'll never change and who are you kidding? And you just have to give in to it, that you'll always be the wrong weight, whatever. Like, it's just habit. And you know, we've built the habit of looking for negatives, you know, because, I remember I used to go to bed every night and kind of recall what I ate to find problems with it. I used to actually visualize everything I had to eat on a tray or a dinner plate and imagine the mound of food that was and be kind of like, oh my God, I'm so gross. That's so disgusting. So like, what we have to realize is what got us into this mess. How we've been looking at things is literally the only thing that got us into a weight problem. It's not our genetics. Like, you know, scientists have proven that your genes and all of that are only responsible for, I don't know, is it 5% or less? Because we can have genes for stuff, but, you know, there's genes in our body and then there's whether those genes express themselves. And then there's environment, but then you could argue, okay, someone else grew up in that environment as well and they didn't grow up with a weight problem. So like, it is actually all down to our mind, which is such a powerful thing to realize, because once you realize that this entire weight problem came from a kind of disordered way of looking at things, and you know, you're probably burnt out from the word disordered, especially if you listen to this podcast. I'm always saying disordered eating, but maybe a more natural way to say it is we've just been looking at things a wrong way, and a way that was never going to result in like, oh yeah, I'll have a lovely breakfast, and oh yeah, I'm going to have a lovely day with food, and I'm going to be so proud of myself. Like, the way we were looking at things was never, ever, ever going to amount to that. And then, like I say, it's really empowering once we realize that, because then we're like, okay, well, if it all started in my head, I can pivot and I can move and I can tweak and I can change how I can look at things. And when I change how I look at things, things will feel different. When I feel different, I'll behave different. When I behave differently, I'll get different results. So it's all quite exciting. And so, like I say if there's two versions of you, right? And one wakes up in the morning and you've a full belly, your jeans are tight. You thought your jeans would be looser by now. You still actually can't believe you're the size. You're like, still can't get your head around that you gained the weight in the first place and that you're this person now because you used to be a different size or whatever. And then, so you go down the road of, oh, I'm not meant to be here. What have I done? I'm not doing well enough. I need to change things up, blah, 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 blah. Then there's another version of you, wakes up the exact same factors, right? Exact same factors. You wake up with a full belly. You wake up a little over full. You wake up a little like your jeans are tight. And I remember when I had Katie on the podcast, I forget which episode that was. I think it was something like seasons and cycles or something. She was on about one of the things that really helps her mental health is the human experience. And it is the human experience, like in terms of any morning you're waking up and your belly is a little bit full and your jeans are tight. You're part of the human experience. There are tens of thousands of people waking up in the exact same way. And it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that they're all obese. It doesn't mean everyone who wakes up feeling like that is about to get heavier or put on more weight. It doesn't mean anyone who's felt like that will never be the weight they want to be. It's just kind of like feeling cold. It's part of the human experience to have physical signals. And if you were like that, if you were like, shit happens, sometimes people overeat. Oh, my poor little belly, it's giving me the signals that it's has had a busy night of it. Like, I'm pretty full. My body's feeling a bit heavy. It's kind of giving me those signals of, geez, would you like to sit around out? Would you like to hold your horses a bit? Like, I'm still getting through what you gave me. Like it literally is a signal, just like feeling cold. If you feel cold, you'll put on a jumper, no harm done. You're not necessarily going to get pneumonia. And equally, if our jeans are a little bit tight, if we're feeling very full or heavy, it's cool. It's just a signal. It's just probably saying, sit around out, maybe drink some water, tea or coffee, maybe let this feeling subside. Maybe don't interfere with it. Don't interfere with your body while this is going on. Let your body have a little bit of a relax, give your digestive system a little bit of a break. And soon enough, and certainly sooner than you think, you're actually going to be ready for food again. And then when you're ready for food, maybe be conscious of like, what would make my belly feel nice? And that does not need to be by, like, don't come at that from a, what should I eat if I overate last night? Come at it from a point of like, no, my stomach felt uncomfortably full this morning, or I felt heavy this morning. Now I'm hungry and I just want to know what could I eat that would make me feel well afterwards and would get me on my way to have the rest of the day or the afternoon with a comfortable feeling belly. And that could be a piece of toast. That could be 2 sausages on brown bread. Like, it could be anything. Yet again, you're the only one who knows the feeling in your stomach. But basically, back to those reactions, the version of you that is like, oh, I'm such a failure, I'll never change or whatever, you're going to go back to the kitchen, you're going to make some weirdo diet decision. You're going to compromise on taste. You're going to be coming at this from not what does your biology need this morning, what does your health need, what does your mood need, what does your energy levels need, what does your taste buds need. You're going to be coming at it from a compromise, what should I eat decision. So if you're coming at it from a what should I eat decision, it's like I said, it's going to be a compromise. Something's going to be ill-fitting for your body. It's either not going to taste very satisfying, it's not going to make you feel very well, and then you're a hop, skip and a jump away from overeating, binge eating later on. So our reaction is costing us. That reaction of I'm not where I should be is always costing us, because when we have the reaction I'm not where I should be, or I shouldn't have eaten like that last night, we're putting ourselves on the back foot. We're putting ourselves into the mode of I'm a fat girl and I'll never change. And you cannot act like a slim person if you feel like a fat person. And you cannot get to an outcome of being a slim, happy ever after in your body type of person if you're building up the amount of minutes you're living in this world feeling as a fat person. So it's a feeling, not a size. It's a feeling of unworthiness. But feelings are signposts. Feelings are signposts of where we're going next. So every time you fall into that, oh, I'm fat and I'm in the wrong place and I ate the wrong foods, you're deciding what happens next. And like, I had issues with food. I had issues with drink. I've overcome them both. I'm in a lovely place with food now. I no longer drink alcohol. So those 2 things are sorted. But it doesn't mean I don't have an addictive personality. And I was thinking about this yesterday because I was saying the same thing to my sister. But then, I've watched TED Talks and stuff on addiction, and it's not really that you have an addictive personality. It's that you've a tendency to go to shame, because shame is what drives an addiction. And that's why, like, in hypnotherapy and in quitting smoking and stuff like that, the thing is like, bring around the packet of fags. And if you want one, cool. Like, they're always there for you. When I'm working with food, it's the same abundance mentality I'd be teaching clients. It's kind of like, what would you like? Yeah, food is there to be enjoyed. Food is there to obviously put a good feeling in your body. Obviously, you don't deserve to house weight from foods that don't taste nice. And obviously, you don't deserve to go through today feeling uncomfortable or sluggish or overfull. You definitely don't deserve that. So if you're kind of thinking, out of all the foods you could eat today, what would be one that you can imagine yourself eating in a lovely way, and you can imagine yourself feeling lovely afterwards? So that's us, like, blowing it all wide open, like remembering the abundance of all the millions of foods that we could eat, and none of them necessarily have to equal discomfort or overeating. And so that abundance mentality is the opposite of shame. And I was thinking this, it's not that I've a tendency to be addicted to things. I've a tendency to feel a lot of shame about myself. So, with food, I had eat a takeaway, eat lots of sweets or crisps. And, back in the day when all of this started, when I was a teenager having sleepovers, sure, all the rest of the girls were doing that too. But they just probably weren't waking up being like, I'm a disgusting failure of a human for eating so much Doritos. They weren't doing that. So they didn't go on to create disordered eating, whereas all my shame did. And the same with drink. Sure, I was just like, in the heyday of the drinking, I was just, and like a naughty, bold student or new graduate in her 20s in London, in an absolute playground of, now you've got a, monthly salary and you can spend it on going out. Like I said, it's all pretty par for course stuff. But I was like, oh my God, I'm such a failure for being drunk. I'm such an embarrassment. I'm so disgusting, whatever. And so those two reactions with food and that reaction with drink actually made me eat away more, and it actually made me drink away more. And now I'm kind of trying to steady myself with my relationship with my phone and my relationship with social media, because if I look at it the other way, it's not that they're so addictive. It's that I'm prone to spending an hour on social media and being like, I'm such a failure. I could have been gardening. I could have been tidying that back room. I could have been, going to bed earlier. I'll just never allow it to be the suitable option. I'll always jump to, I should be ashamed of myself. And last night now, I had a lovely takeaway, and I even posted it on social media. I got prawn, salt and pepper prawns. They're definitely at least a once per month food for me from the Chinese in Drimoleague. Cue them out watering. I love them so much. And then spare ribs as well. And I was like, ultimately between the jigs and the reels, there's none left this morning. They were all gorgeous. I needed both of them. And so I don't have any shame about that, because, it's grand. I have no issues with food. I'll, listen to my appetite today. Obviously how long it takes my body to use up that energy, or the appetite I'll feel today will be very different than if I had a bowl of soup and a piece of lettuce. If I had a bowl of soup and a piece of lettuce last night at 7:30, I wouldn't have even got to bedtime without being starved again, let alone this morning. Whereas I had breakfast at 11 a.m. this morning. So that's partially because I had plenty of energy in my system. So I wouldn't have any guilt or shame or worry about that. That's all grand. And my appetite will be affected for the weekend now. Like I said, my body knows the difference between eating 1,000 calories versus eating 100 calories. Of course it knows the difference. So I have no shame there. But I was getting off the couch at around 12:30 last night, and I was like, oh my God, you're so disgusting. And, I caught a glimpse of a reel. I know myself well enough now to not watch any fear-provoking thing, but it was like, you're literally killing yourself if you stay up past 11. You're literally killing yourself. And so that popped into my head. And then I was like, wait a second. I had to take on the same strategy that I did to overcome issues with food and issues with drink, which was Aoife, do you think you're the only one who stays up till 12:30? And in fairness to you, if you can't stay up at 12:30 on a Friday night, when can you stay up? And especially now, since I'm 39, and the social life has dried up a lot. Like there isn't a load of Friday and Saturday nights out unless they're to restaurants and stuff. So as in like, it's kind of few and far between that I've got 3 a.m. bedtimes anyway. So I'm kind of like, just kind of like, leave me alone. Like, as in I'm allowed to stay up till 12:30 watching screens sometimes. And it's like, it's not as if literally everyone who, is healthy never has a late night. Like that's not true either. So we have to kind of argue for the balance of things and argue the kind of humane argument that like part of being a human is sometimes staying up late and part of being a human is sometimes enjoying episodes on Netflix or enjoying screen time or watching one too many reels. Like the truth can be somewhere in between, that you're not an addict and you're not broken. But equally, it's not that you should never ever watch a screen and you need to delete your social media. Like I said, maybe the truth is somewhere in between. And maybe the fact that I stayed up till 12:30 last night watching screens doesn't mean that I can't do gardening or exercise today or do things that feel well in my body. Like you can do both. So I just thought it was interesting because, like I said, addiction is just basically being prone to shame. And even the other night, I did feel I had been on my phone a lot in the day. And so I locked my phone in the dash of the car that night. And then my brain was kind of like at 1:30 in the morning or something. It was like, Aoife, go out and get your phone because you have to check that thing up on IKEA about the kitchens. And then I literally heard the new side of my brain being like, nice try. Because, I'm always on to clients about the 20-minute rule. Like, how will you feel in 20 minutes? So if your brain is like, oh, go on, like buy a packet of Haribo and eat them on the drive home. And then you have to run it through the filter. But yeah, like in 20 minutes time, would I love that feeling? Because like, if I would, cool, I'll do it. Because there are some times that it's like, yeah, I would like a few Haribo. And I think that would be literally the perfect match for what I want now. Or a scone or a takeaway or, some hot food from the hot food counter, whatever it may be. Sometimes it does pass the 20-minute filter rule in terms of like, yeah, I would feel nice after that. But like, if if history suggests, no, I'd feel really gross in 20 minutes, then it's kind of like, well, why do I deserve that? So so like when my brain was like, go out to the car and get your phone out of it. And then my new brain was like, nice try, because like in 20 minutes time, all that means is that I'm scrolling and then an hour goes by and then I'm feeling wrecked the next morning, waking up for work. And then it's a little bit difficult for me to overcome the shame of, being on social media in the middle of the night or whatever it is. So like, as in, I just kind of think that I'm only saying that because I suppose like basically a lot of the things we're doing here with food, we can kind of use for other areas of our life as well. And so last night I had a very positive reaction to the screen time. I didn't go down the shame route. I was kind of like, yeah, Friday nights, you can stay up late. Wednesday night, you can stay up late. I'm not the only person in the world doing this. I'm not broken. There's nothing wrong with me. And then it's kind of like what we need to think about is that whether it's eating, we're giving out to ourselves about, drinking, we're giving out to ourselves about, social media, we're giving out to ourselves about, lack of exercise, we're giving out to ourselves about. Like, you just have to be cognizant that it's kind of almost like we have a battery power. We've a battery power needed to succeed, to move forward, to be inspired, to be open to opportunities. And everything is, to be honest, being open to offer opportunities, especially in terms of changing our weight, changing our health, changing our eating, because we're looking at the day now with a blank canvas and we're like considering the responsibilities I have, considering the people I need to mind or the people I need to visit or the work I need to do. Still, where are my opportunities to feel a bit better than I would on a day like today? And what are my opportunities to have a nice meal? And what are my opportunities to, be sitting on the couch 20 minutes after supper and be feeling nice? Like, where are my opportunities? We need to be wide open to those opportunities. And we're not having an opportunistic brain if we're like, you should be ashamed of yourself. You're not where you should be. You're way behind. Last night was a big mistake. I can't believe you done that. I can't believe you're this close size. I can't believe you put on this weight. You've lost a day. So for every day that we react in a shameful way, you have lost a day. You have delayed the day that you will be at your ideal weight. You have kicked the can down the road another day because you are picking shame instead of opportunity. They're two very, very different roads. And kind of with that as well, I suppose the beating ourselves up postcode can be a very close to the postcode of when will I be there? And that attitude is so bad because it's like, unless you're feeling tip top with your mental health today, your physical health, you've dotted every I and crossed every single possible T in terms of how you could feel amazing today, well then, how can you get to say, when will I be the weight I want to be? Because I'm like, I'm never there in terms of like, oh yeah, there's no other choice I could make today to feel a bit better. None. I feel as best as it gets. Like, as if, like, and you know, I've a client at the moment and she loves computer games. And I'm like, this is a computer game that has no final level. Like, as in, we will always just be leveling up and there's no there to get to. Like, as in, I feel way better than I did 3 years ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago. But it doesn't mean I'm there. It doesn't mean that today now it doesn't matter what I do, I'm there. It's like, no, today is, I have the same day as you, or whether we need to lose 10 stone or 1 pound or we're maintaining weight, we're all in the same boat. It's like, where are my opportunities today to help my body feel a bit better? So when we're in the, I shouldn't be where I am, I should be further along, I shouldn't have eaten that, or we're in the like, when will I be the weight I want to be? None of them work. All of them are a day lost. So really, whenever you're aware that you're thinking in that headspace, transform that into, I am exactly where I need to be today. I am exactly where I need to be for where I need to go next. And I am proud of myself, and I haven't done anything wrong. And there's no one thing that I have done that other thousands of humans haven't done either. You know, like I say, we eat too much takeaway or we eat a lot of food. It's like as if you're the only human that has ever done that. And as if like, you know, anyone who has ever eaten like that never got to their ideal weight. Like, that's not true. Or like as if everyone who's their ideal weight never ate as much as you last night. Like, as if. So like I said, we have to kind of remind ourselves of the human experience, which means that shit happens and like good things can happen, bad things can happen. Sometimes we feel comfortable, sometimes we feel uncomfortable, and that's all just rolling with the punches. And if we don't have that ability to pick ourselves up and move on to the next level, well, then we're screwed basically, because this will all be a shit show, to be honest. This will be thousands and thousands of times where you don't feel as nice as you could, but yet again, seeing that as an opportunity to be like, okay, right, how can I get rid of this feeling? How can I feel a bit better? Whereas if every time you feel physically uncomfortable, or every time you eat a bit more than you wanted to, or every time your clothes feel a bit different than you wanted to, or every time you look a bit different in a photo than you wanted to, that you equate that with failure, you're stuck. Like, I'm sorry, but you are going to be stuck in a weight problem for as long as you keep up with that attitude, because basically, like, we can only go from where we are now to where we want to go next. So say if the start of the journey, us being at the worst possible weight is A, and we want to get to Z. And right now we're really only at C. Like we've made some little moves forward. We've had some positive times with food. We've had some times where we've managed to feel a little bit like more confident or better in our body or whatever. Like, we just want to go from C to D, and then from D to E, and then from E to F, all the way to Z. And that's literally our only choice. Whereas what the black and white mentality will make you do is, look, you're only at C. You're so far away from Z. You might as well go back to A. And then if we keep having a kind of reaction that like, oh, you're only here, so you might as well go back to A. You might as well go back to, it actually doesn't matter what you eat. And it actually doesn't matter how you feel in 20 minutes time. And you actually should just jump in and control, you know. It doesn't matter what your belly is saying now. You need a good big breakfast to prevent you from overeating later. Or, you know, it doesn't matter what your belly is saying, because that can't be trusted anymore. So you might as well eat loads and then be on a diet tomorrow. So anything we do to sabotage the C and bring us right back to the A again. Like, this is the whole thing. Your reaction could bring you back from a C to an A, and then you're far as long as a G, and then you're like, oh, screw it, bad reaction, get back to A. Whereas we need to be wherever we are and be fine with it, basically. Like, however we're waking up, however we're feeling in our body, we have to learn to be A-okay with it and not lose the progress. And instead, rather than going from, sorry, I have to write down the alphabet, E, F, G, rather going from, we're at F and then we have a bad reaction and put ourselves back to E, we have to like stabilize F and do whatever we can do to get to G, if that makes sense. So we have to hold our progress. And the only way we can hold our progress is by not having those emotional shame reactions. We need to be like, this is good, I can move forward from here. And another comparison with the social media, sometimes I find my mind coming up with so many reasons why social media is bad. And that's my old insecure way of being like, if I make it bad enough, it will make me do it less. But actually the only thing you do by making something really bad is by starting a bigger shame cycle. So if I come up with an argument that social media is the rot of the world and it is everything that's wrong with everything, all it means is that when I go on for it again and go on it again, and when I spend more time than I want on it, well, then I'll have extra shame than other people, and I will have extra guilt than other people. And like I said, shame and guilt is what starts an addictive cycle with things. So you can do that with food as well. You can be like, Chinese food is the worst thing that has ever happened to West Cork, or, the hot food counter is the worst thing that ever came to Ireland, or, you could say these things, and all it's actually making you do is feel extra shame when you come at it next, which of course you will. So stop your brain when it's finding more and more negatives with food. Like, no one's got a weight problem because they're so positive and balanced with food. People are in issues with food because they've fallen out with food. They make loads of negatives out of foods that don't even deserve negatives. Like, every food has its time and place. Every food has a time where it could genuinely help your day, and it could genuinely help your mood, and it could genuinely help your taste buds, your energy levels, the feeling in your belly. But if you go down the road of, that is such a bad food in all amounts, all environments, if I even go near it, that's so bad for me. It's like, you're not actually helping yourself become a balanced eater. You're helping yourself get an addiction to food, because shame starts the addiction to food. And I suppose another slight note I want to make on that, and I'm realizing I'm coming up to 28 minutes now, and I haven't even done like half of the things on the list, so that will have to be another episode. But as well as realizing when we're in a showtime moment, like I said, a showtime moment is where you come out of the restaurant and you did eat too much, actually, or you come back from holidays and you do actually feel gross, or you wake up in the morning and you do actually feel gross, or, any of those moments really that could elicit a shameful reaction. That is showtime. That is going to be the difference between you being at your ideal weight in 5 years' time, or you going to be at the same weight or more obese or whatever. So your reaction in that moment is super powerful, that you have a balanced, calm reaction, that you have no shame, and that you choose to see yourself as a flawed human that can sometimes eat too much, but it's no big deal. You don't like the feeling in your belly. That's cool. You can go off and change it. Only you know the positive response that it would take. Like, as in, would it mean drinking some water? Would it mean drinking some peppermint tea? Would it mean sitting around out? Would it mean going for a walk? Would it mean just waiting a while and letting this feeling subside? Like, as in, you are the only person who could know how to get to a better feeling place. And I was so proud of a client yesterday because I was using the Abraham Hicks emotional guidance scale, which I put in every client's food folder. And it's a super important one because the scale goes from disempowered, insecure, guilty at the absolute bottom. And then the middle is boredom, frustration. And then the top is, contentment, joy, freedom, optimism. And I was explaining to that client that basically before the program, most people are powerless, insecure, guilt-ridden, whatever. And whenever you're at that moment, you're probably gaining weight. I just know by someone's mood, because basically, like I said, your mood decides your behaviors decide your results. So if we're in insecure, powerless moods, we're not going to be making loving, positive, conscious choices with our eating and for our body. If someone's bored and frustrated, you're probably not making things better, but you're not making things worse either. So you're staying the same. And then if someone is up in hopefulness or contentment or optimism, they're moving forward, because with all of that, they're going to be having a different approach with how they're choosing food in a day and how they're minding their body in a day. So I was asking my client, okay, where were you before the program? Where were you at your highest point so far in the program? And how are you feeling this week? And I was with food, by the way. And she was telling me the points she's been at, which were the expected. And then she was but this is separate, right? Because she was I'm still seeing a counsellor and I still have, I'm not in life in a good place. But she was I suppose what I've learned is I'm keeping them separate. So if I feel mentally really shitty, I suppose I'm not involving my body now, as in I don't need to make a bad situation worse. If I feel mentally bad, I don't need to make my body feel physically bad as well. That's not fair on me. So I'm kind of, I suppose, using food to feel good. And I was yay! I've convinced her. She's been listening. This is amazing, because, it's kind of there's a difference between how, an alcoholic bum on the street uses alcohol and how a wine connoisseur uses alcohol. So they could be drinking the same alcohol, but a wine connoisseur will be appreciating it as they're drinking it, and they will be using wine as a positive in their life, hopefully, best case example of a wine connoisseur anyway, and they'll feel nice after the wine they drink. Whereas, a bum on the street or an alcoholic will be feeling immense shame and guilt and disgust and everything. That's how they'll be using alcohol. So we want to get to the same place with food and with our body. Like my client said, it's let's not make a bad situation worse. And that goes both ways. It's if you're mentally not feeling bad, if you're mentally feeling bad, don't drag your poor little body into it. Your body is an amazing fighter that has been through the woes, if you're listening to this podcast. So, mind your body and don't hurt that, and keep them separate. However your mind is feeling is separate to how your body is feeling right now and what your body needs in 20 minutes time. And then also another step up from that is, however bad your body is feeling, it doesn't matter if it's feeling the worst of the worst. Let's not drag our emotions into that. Let's not drag the mental side of it into it too. It's kind of no matter where your body is feeling, if it's feeling the worst, that's grand. What's the next logical step? How could it feel a little bit better? We don't need to drag our emotions or our personality or our identity or our mood into that. Let's just be really logical. How's my body feeling now? How do I want to make it feel in 20 minutes time? So it doesn't matter if you've had the worst week of your life. It doesn't matter if you had the biggest binge in your life last night. It doesn't matter if you had a share bag one too many yesterday or this morning or 20 minutes before this podcast. It literally never matters where you're at. It matters what's your reaction and how are you going to be feeling in 20 minutes time. And once you realize that it doesn't matter where you're at in your journey, it doesn't matter if you've only moved 1% further in progress, if you haven't moved forward in progress at all, your superpower will always be just taking the next logical step forward to feeling better and closing the door, not taking the bait of what someone with addictive issues or weight problems would do, which is taking the bait of shame, guilt, I'm not where I should be. Close the door on that. That is not your route ever now. That will never help. So yeah, I hope you found this episode helpful. Thank you so much for being here. Have a lovely, lovely week.